Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at, well, how our bodies fix themselves, right, and fight off infections.
Exactly. It's fundamental stuff. And you sent in a really great mix of material scientific articles, WHO info, even that Reddit thread on colds.
Yeah, quite a range. The idea is to really get a handle on how we heal, but also, why we still get sick.
Precisely, to understand that amazing self-repair capability and where the limits are, especially against infections.
Okay, so let's start right there. Damage happens. How does the body actually, patch things up?
Well, essentially, healing's the process of fixing damaged tissue, getting function back. Your sources point to two main ways.
Okay.
First, regeneration. That's where injured cells get replaced by the exact same type of cell. Sort of a perfect fix,
Like brand new.
pretty much. The second way is repair. That involves replacing the damaged bit with scar tissue.
Ah, so it works, but it's not quite the same as the original.
Exactly. It's functional, but different. And interestingly, most organs actually use a mix of both regeneration and repair.
Okay, that covers fixing physical damage, but what about viruses and bacteria? That's when the immune system jumps in, yeah.
Absolutely. The immune system is our internal security force, always vigilant against these, well, intruders.
And it's got layers of defense.
It does, like the mucus
Mhm.
in our airways.
Yeah.
It's sticky, it traps stuff,
Right.
and the acid in our stomach is pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Kills a lot of harmful things we might swallow.
So the first line, what if things get past that initial defense?
Then you've got the specialized cells, phagocytes, for example. They literally engulf invaders like Pac-Man.
Okay.
And then there are natural killer cells,
Mhm.
NK cells. They're really remarkable. They can spot our own cells if they've been infected by a virus,
Yeah.
and they eliminate them to stop the virus spreading further.
Makes sense. A necessary sacrifice, almost.
Kind of, yeah.
What about inflammation and fever? We feel pretty miserable with those, but are they actually part of the plan?
They absolutely are. Inflammation might be uncomfortable, but it's the body focusing the immune response right where it's needed, like sending in the troops.
Concentrating firepower.
Exactly. And a fever. Raising your body temperature actually makes it harder for many pathogens to replicate. Plus, it can boost how well some immune cells work.
Interesting. So feeling bad is sometimes a sign the body's fighting hard.
Often, yes. Now, besides these immediate reactions, stem cells are also crucial, especially for longer-term healing.
Right. Stem cells, how do they fit in?
Well, early on, as embryos, we have these sort of master stem cells that can become anything, the ultimate builders.
Okay.
As adults, we rely more on adult stem cells. They can still divide to make more stem cells, and they can also turn into specific mature cells needed for tissue repair.
But adult stem cells are more limited, aren't they, compared to the embryonic ones?
That's right. They're more specialized. We got different types, mesenchymal stem cells for bone, muscle, cartilage, neural stem cells for nerve tissue, epithelial for skin,
So specific jobs,
specific jobs. And it's important to remember they're not inexhaustible. As we age, their ability to reproduce efficiently goes down.
which impacts healing as we get older.
It certainly contributes, yeah.
Okay, this whole system sounds incredibly sophisticated. So why doesn't it always work perfectly? Why isn't healing always complete? What gets in the way?
That's a really key question. And your sources flag several important factors. Not getting enough high-quality sleep is a big one.
Bleep, bleep.
Definitely. A lot of repair work and immune system boosting happens while we sleep. If you're chronically sleep deprived, your defenses are weaker, resources get diverted.
Yeah, you feel run down. Makes perfect sense. What else hinders things?
Well, poor nutrition is another factor, not getting the right building blocks. Lack of exercise, chronic stress is a major one, exposure to toxins.
So basically, our lifestyle choices have a direct impact.
A huge impact, yes. It's all interconnected. Our choices really influence how well our innate healing systems can function.
Okay, let's maybe narrow the focus a bit. Viral infections, the common cold, everyone knows that one.
Mm-hmm.
How does the body typically handle a cold virus?
The cold is a classic example, yeah. When you catch a cold, your immune system learns to recognize that specific virus. It starts making antibodies.
Antibodies are like targeted weapons.
Exactly, specific to that virus.
Yeah.
And they create a memory. So if you encounter that same virus again later, your immune system is ready to zap it much faster.
Right. So, why do we keep getting colds then? Shouldn't we become immune?
Well, that's the kicker. You do become immune to the virus you just had. The problem is there are over 200 different viruses that can cause cold symptoms.
200? Seriously?
Rhinoviruses, coronaviruses, adenoviruses, loads of them. So immunity to one doesn't protect you from the other 199 plus.
Okay, now it makes sense why we can't seem to shake them. And I guess that's why there's no single cold vaccine.
Precisely. It's incredibly hard to make a vaccine against that many different viruses, especially when they also tend to mutate, to change slightly over time.
Right, a moving target. Or hundreds of moving targets.
Exactly. And, you know, generally, colds aren't super serious, which also affects vaccine development priorities. Though, interestingly, that Reddit discussion mentioned mRNA technology, maybe offering new possibilities down the line.
Hmm, that's a thought. Now, antibiotics. We always hear don't take antibiotics for a cold. Why not?
Super important point. Antibiotics kill bacteria. They have absolutely zero effect on viruses. Colds and flu are caused by viruses.
So taking them is literally pointless for a cold.
Worse than pointless, actually, because overuse contributes to antibiotic resistance. That means when you do get a bacterial infection, the antibiotics might not work anymore.
Got it. Save them for when they're actually needed. And the flu vaccine, that's different again, right? It targets influenza.
Correct. The flu shot is specifically for the influenza virus. It won't protect you against the hundreds of viruses that cause common cold symptoms. They're different families of viruses.
Okay. So when we do have a cold and we feel all those symptoms, the runny nose, the cough, the sore throat, what's physically happening?
It's basically the battleground. Your immune system is fighting back. Immune cells, like leukocytes, release substances to attack the virus, but these substances can also cause some collateral damage to the tissues in your nose and throat.
Ah, friendly fire almost.
A bit, yeah. Plus, the virus itself is damaging the lining cells. And then the whole process triggers the release of inflammatory signals, mediators, that cause those familiar symptoms.
So the misery is partly the virus, partly our own defense.
Exactly. The congestion, the cough, the dripping, it's all part of that inflammatory response trying to clear the infection. Some symptoms clear up faster, but things like a cough can sometimes linger for a week or even two.
Right. And you mentioned rhinoviruses are a big cause of cold.
Yeah, they're responsible for a huge chunk of them.
Mm-hmm.
Our body tries to fight back with things like interferon, which is an antiviral protein.
Yeah.
But rhinoviruses are quite good at evading these defenses. They have tricks to dampen the immune response. And sometimes getting a rhinovirus can actually make you more susceptible to getting a secondary bacterial infection afterwards.